Yeah. Numero UNO, me and Drizzy like the Super Bowl, man. Then it big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl.
Well, today I'm going to be tackling one of, I feel like it's not a hard question to answer. It's just a very complicated one. But we are going over how to deal more damage in Warframe, or just how to be strong in Warframe in general. I started off mostly like you guys playing Warframe, where I was hitting learning curve after learning curve. Unfortunately for me, I had a friend that was like very knowledgeable in the game, but it did take a toll on me. Like, I did have like a knowledge overload. I took a break from it, but I came back and it just went off. I don't know. There's multiple methods on how to be strong in this game and deal more damage. So I'm going to take you guys on a journey on how to explore each path in case you guys want, different options on being broken in Warframe. This will be including every up-to-date meta, or even just every up-to-date option you can do that would be important in you dealing more damage. So when you complete every node, is what they call each of these missions, there shouldn't be any more blinking blue ones. That's how you know completed. But Tension would want to talk to you after you completed all your missions, and you'll be able to access Steel Path. Steel Path is the same exact thing, except that when you start up your missions, every enemy is now at least level 100 or higher, and it adds like a new layer of difficulty onto the game, which allows you to explore stronger builds. So usually you might end up in a situation where the weapon that you took for the most part is not doing the damage you thought it would be doing, or it's doing damage but it's not going to be at a rate that you want it to be at. So if you happen to find yourself where you're still using like beginner weapons, or just weapons that you never switched and you ended up completing your star chart, because usually with the right mods you can use any weapon to complete the star chart, you might have progressed too fast. So I would recommend that when you're doing your star chart, mix it up with the balance of completing your planets, as well as making sure you're getting your story quests out the way. The story quests can offer you some extra weapons that can be beneficial for you as you complete your star chart. The main important thing is that when you do complete your star chart, you're going to unlock this new mode called arbitrations. So this doesn't open up under your alerts until you unlock Steel Path, and once you have gained arbitrations, you can see that it has bonuses for the preferred Warframe and the weapons. The very paradox how they have you select one out of your 5 Warframes. This one kind of just gives you a choice if you want to choose it. I guess it will be similar to your Arcane Hunt, but arbitrations is just as important as Steel Path, and I'll explain later on in the video. But when I was mentioning about the other quests and working in hand with your star chart, the quests are important because one way to deal more damage is just to use the good weapons. I wouldn't say all weapons, or there are bad weapons. I would just say there are better preferred weapons in Warframe. You can check out the Warframe's website and they'll actually show you a list of the weapons that people are using most currently compared to the least used weapons. Some of these weapons include the Nataruk, which is like an energy bow with infinite ammo. You have the Fenmore, which is one of your transforming weapons later on down the line. This one can shred one of the late game bosses. For secondary, we have easily the Grimoire. This is one of the newest additions to Warframe's arsenal. Then we have the lovely Latome. This pistol, you guys, whoever used the Latome knows how well this pistol is. And there's a bunch of other amazing weapons too out there, like the Neferi blades from your Archon battles after completing the new war. And it goes on and on. I don't want to spoil all of them, but there are good weapons out there that can just give you a little bit of help if you're not good with modding. Now, while you're at it, you are going to be leveling up your mastery rank. So mastery rank levels matter up to, I would say by 20 you're safe. You don't need to worry about it anymore, but I want to say 16. I'm not sure. Mastery rank are important because there are certain riven mods that allows you to you can't use certain riven mods for your weapons. So if I wanted to use a Riven mod for this Gram, it might say mastery rank 16 locked, right? So I'll need to be that level in order to utilize this Riven. It all comes from just leveling up new things. So there's a lot of free rewards that you can collect. There's a lot of free loot in Warframe. So just leveling up and you know, always using weapons that aren't maxed out can help you reach that pretty fast. There's other options like your railjack crafting and, you know, gaining max standing in the syndicates. But one main important tip I want you guys to remember is that please practice your mastery rank test. What you want to do is that you want to fast travel to your strata relay by Earth, or any relay really, and then just go to Cephalon Samaris. On the right hand side, you're going to see a bunch of stations that have these statues, each one representing one of your mastery ranks. So I would always recommend coming here, because I believe if you try to start it in a menu, it might just start like your real mission. So come here and always hit practice. Practicing it can give you a sense of what the mission is like. If you just dove on straight into the main mission and you failed, you would have to wait a whole day in order just for you to retake it. So leveling up could make you feel pretty limited if you just kept going in there unprepared. So I just want you guys to do that. Don't end up like me and, you know, have to wait a day for your mastery rank test. Yeah, it goes all the way up. The furthest I know is legendary rank 4. Now mastery rank and completing your star chart and your story quest all work hand in hand, because most importantly, I would say the main point in the Warframe story you want to get to is at least when you get your Nemesis system. I know when you guys see me start up my navigations, you see this red symbol is appearing down here. It's because I started a Nemesis mission. So this guy is going to keep taking some of my loot until I hunt him down and take his weapon. But those are free weapons that you can get. There's a Nemesis system for the Grineer and the Corpus faction right now. With the Warframe 1999 update, that one is potentially going to bring the infected Nemesis system. So we're excited for the new weapons and additions for that. But coming back to the ones that we have now, we have one for the Grineer. You can see all the captains that I already killed or converted. You have a choice to kill them, which you'll still take their weapon, and then if you capture them, they will sometimes, you know, spawn in with you for your missions and help you out. Or you can even convert them to where you can sell their weapons to other players for platinum if you want. You just need to build this specialized room in your dojo for that. But you can see how there's a lot of different weapons that you can prompt from the Kuva Grineers. So you want to just always, I have a guide because this goes into a whole nother topic, but I have a guide on how you can start your Kuva Lich mission. On the other hand, we have the Corpus faction, and these are called the Tenant Sisters. These Tenant Sisters not only give you a potential ephemera, a guaranteed weapon, but you also get a guaranteed companion dog. And each of the dogs have like very unique abilities as well. So when you get further, I think you would get the sisters from the Call of Tempestari quest. So as you get further with your story quest and your star chart, you gain access to more of Warframe's features that can help the player like a lot. I think once I got access to these weapons, it did help my damage, but the list goes on. I can still hunt these because I'm trying to get the ephemeras. They have a 20% drop chance, so good luck. Some that I might recommend would be like the Kuva Heck would be very nice. A lot of players seem to enjoy the Kuva Brahma. The Kuva Tsar is very broken. AoE damage lovers will love this weapon. And then like I said earlier, we got the Tenant Arcaplasmon. The list does dip into the secondary and then the melee. So if you're wondering if there's tenant weapons for both of those categories, there are. Now it's not over for you too. If you're not further enough in the story, and if you don't like grinding to get to that point in the story, there's a lot of easy points of access that you can check out so you can get more free weapons that way. One of my favorites is being on Cetus. If you want to fast travel to Hawk, this guy on Cetus can help you forge new Zaws, which are basically melee weapons. So you can choose which type of weapon parts you want, and then you go to a store and then you just buy that weapon part. You can always test out how it would look like, you know, when you put it together. before you buy the parts, but you just go to browse wares and then you can purchase these parts with standing. You just got to do some bounties and all of the resources. I bring up melee weapons because melee weapons could be very broken when it comes to this game. You only need the right mods for melee weapons, and then when you get higher combo multipliers, you basically will start melting the enemies. I have on this melee weapon some of the more popular mods that you would want. Some of the melee mods that you want to have for your weapons can include condition overload. So this mod will give you 80% melee damage per status type affecting the target. So you can just have another weapon with just a lot of different type of status mods like heat, cold, electricity, and then your melee weapon will gain that damage boost. You can gain this mod from just fusing other gold mods, and there's a chance from your mod station you can get this, or you can potentially get it from the Deviri circuit mode. And then another place would be on Deimos, just running bounties. Eventually one of the enemies would drop this mod from that. Another popular melee mod is Blood Rush. So this one gives you critical chance, and it stacks with your combo multiplier. So you can raise your melee's combo multiplier the more you're hitting an enemy. Another fast way to build your combo multiplier is to block bullets. So don't forget, because that one is very helpful, and you can probably build up your multiplier quicker that way. Again, you can get this one from the enemies on Deimos from just running your bounties as well. Organ Shatter, you can see I have a bunch of them. These ones drop pretty common from like Fortuna bounties. So if you hunt down these spiders on Fortuna, you just talk to Yutiko and then run your bounties, and you can gain a bunch of these mods. But this can help with your critical damage. A lot of melee weapons might not have high critical chance, so if you can get your critical chance at least near 50, you'll be fine. But if it has like a base 20% critical chance, I would invest into that weapon. Then we have Berserker Fury. So this one can help you increase your attack speed. This one is dropped from the infected Warframe bosses. I would say they have a 20% drop chance from defeating the infected bosses in the New Strange quest or the Patient Zero quest. If you already completed those quests and you didn't get this mod, I would just rerun it because you can replay it. It does have a 20% drop chance. Another one that I want to recommend is mods like Gladiator, Rush, or Drifting Contact. These mods can help increase how long you can hold your combo multipliers, because you don't want to feel pressured that you need to kill another enemy like really quickly, unless you're running survival missions or defense where enemies are just coming in mods or in mob. Gladiator Rush, these mods can potentially drop from bounties on Cetus, so just keep running these bounties to get your gladiator mods, and mods that can extend combo duration is what you want to look for. But if you have those mods on these weapons, then you should be just fine, in addition to other mods like the elemental damage. Another good place to check for free weapons, especially if you're in the beginning of the game or even late game but you just don't have new weapons, you can access the clan chat, and within this chat you're able to potentially join new clans. There's always people asking and recruiting new players, so I would not doubt you not finding a clan in this chat. Just be patient with it if no one's responding, but they'll direct message you, and then once you are in a clan, you can of course visit it. And I would say visit all the labs, because if that clan leader is maxed out and completed all of their shops, you have access to buying those items in the shops as well, and that includes weapons, warframes, and the list goes on. So you can also gain a lot of more mastery ranking from doing this. You can fast travel to the chem lab, and there's more weapons here, just like weapons for each faction. So you'll be set if you do find yourself at a dead end in terms of like where to get more weapons. All right, now we're getting into what makes anything in Warframe strong, and that's the mods. These are going to be the 5 mod categories that I want you guys to pay attention to. I want you guys to treat these 5 mod categories like the 5 Kages of Naruto. All right, for the first Kage, we have arcane mods. Archon mods can be gained for to Warframe players once you have completed the New Roar quest, and then you completed the Veilbreaker quest. You'll get access to Cal. Cal would be another new player for you, where you can run his missions and gain this standing. You would then take this standing and you would go to your boy over here, Skipper, and you can purchase the Archon mods from his shop. So these Archon mods are a lot stronger than your usual mods, and they also apply almost like a double bonus for you. You see, we have the regular flow, which would give us 100% energy max, but if you guys unlock the Archon flow, you can go up to 185% energy max, and some bonuses for the appropriate elemental status effect. Then we got the Hokage, which would be technically galvanized mods. In order to obtain the galvanized mods, you have to go to the Strade relay, and trust me, I know everything's split apart, but once you get it all working together, it's going to be light work. You want to go to the Arbiters of Hexes. So you want to go to visit the Arbiters. I recommend loading it this way because it could be kind of confusing navigating the relay as a new player. So once you're here, you want to walk towards the front and talk to this guy. In his shop, you have a bunch of these items. So anytime you have like regular prime chamber or regular crosshairs, you want to switch them out for the galvanized mods. As a new player, when you start off Warframe, critical damage and critical chance is good. Mods like Serration and Point Blank, all of those are good. But when you end up in Steel Path, you're going to learn that elemental damage does a better toll on the enemies than just basic high numbers. Galvanized mods come into clutch because they have status effects, so they influence status, making your status effect stronger, allowing you to deal more damage. And I'll explain how status can come into effect later on. And remember the arbitrations I mentioned earlier in the video. That's how you get the Vitus Essence to purchase the galvanized mods. So you just keep running these missions over and over and over again, and you'll be able to get those for free. Now we got the third Kage category, right? We got the Kaze Kage. These are going to be like the prime mods. For prime mods, you can see that they're just like the Archon mods. They boost up the regular versions of themselves. I recommend, because these are the only way you can get the prime mods, is that you go to Brocketeer's shop. Every time you load up your game and you see that it says Brocketeers here, he always appears on the weekends, but they'll give you a little notification on your alerts, and you visit his shop because he is the only one that would sell it. He's on a rotation, so if you miss his shop, you would have to wait until he does bring it back, because every time his shop is different. The thing is, you need to buy his items with ducats. Ducats are a currency that you can get for exchanging prime parts. You can gain free prime parts from these relics. I'm sure every time you start a mission and end it, you gain some type of relic that look like these. These relics are extremely useful because within the relic you have potential rewards, whether it's a prime part for the complete weapon or a Warframe part. But you can go ahead and craft them here, and then if you don't own any, you just own the relics, you want to go to your navigation and run the Void Fissure. These are how you open up your relics. You can run it with teammates, and you can choose their items if you want, and they can choose yours. You go to the relay when he's here, and you sell them at the relay for ducats, and you'll purchase his prime mods for the ducats. So that's how you can get that. Or you can just, trade it with players. The next category, I'm going to stop relating it to Naruto, but we got Riven mods. Riven mods are another way that you can get a boost in damage because they just amplify the weapon stats by a lot. If you don't like the stats, you can re-roll them for Kuva. Re-rolling them allows you to just mix and match. If you don't like what you get, you can see how many times you re-rolled it at the bottom, but these can be traded for platinum as well. But Rivens can be gained a lot of ways. There's too many ways for me to cover in this video, but I'll just go over the main popular ways. We have the Archon hunts with potentially can drop a Riven mod. The daily sorties, so you have a chance of a Riven mod dropping from doing these missions as well. At Iron's Wake, it is an area on Earth that people tend to forget, but if you're in Still Path, because I believe Riven Slivers don't drop until Still Path. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but you can turn in all your Riven Slivers to this person and she can trade you you know, free Riven mod. Not only that, but there's a nice memorial area in this map too, and then you just talk to her. You can also purchase Kuva if you don't have enough to reroll your Riven. Another way is from the Netra cells. If you guys are at that place in the game, you guys know what I'm talking about, as well as the Deep Archimedean mode, which is Warframe's new latest hard mode. But you can get Riven mods from, say you just started Warframe, or say you just got to Still Path. You can gain Steel Essence from doing your Still Path missions. You can even do these Still Path incursions. So doing these missions can grant you some Steel Essence as well. You just take this to Teshin at the Strata Relay and you're able to purchase Rivens from him. So yeah, once you do those missions and you gain Steel Essence, you go to Teshin and then you just talk to him. He sells Riven mods as well. He also sells Kuva, and then you can purchase these Veiled Riven ciphers. This allows you to open up your Rivens in case the mission is too hard, because you can unlock Riven and it can be for like a primary or a secondary, but once you place it, it unveils the challenge. You have to do the challenge in order to obtain the stats. Oh, thank you, Agent Not So Lazy. Yeah, another tip, going to Strata Relays, you can receive little blessings like damage blessings or experience boost blessings like that. They only last like 2 hours. It's like a nice quality of life. Faction mods are going to function similar to your Prime mods. So with faction mod, I highly recommend you only getting the Prime versions. They're kind of split all over the place. Like if you want the faction Bane of Corpus, you have to hunt down a lot of MOAs, specifically I think Demolishers. But I would just try to grind for the Prime mods. They all get sold from Brocketeer's shop as well, so you just usually got to make sure you farm those relic missions so you can purchase it with ducats and, you know, get your Prime mods. But all of the factions in the game has a faction damage mod applied to them, so you're not going to be left in the dark. Even the newest factions like the Murmurs have a faction damage mod, so I highly recommend you grinding for those when Brocketeer comes back. The final category is like the one category that no one really talks about, is the amalgam mods. So these other mods can be another variant of the mods that you can use to help give you an edge in completing or just dealing more damage. All of these are obtained from doing like the Dermia Fractures with it, which is like a rotating event that appears from time to time in your navigation. So when I mentioned the galvanized mods and how I told you how it's important, because when you get to Still Path, you realize that elemental damage does carry a lot more than just basic high base damage, and that's important because you tend to be more effective if you're using the enemy's weaknesses, kind of like Pokemon. A lot of popular elements that players like to use would be fire, because fire can cause armor stripping. If you armor strip an enemy, you can make them more vulnerable to damage. So you can strip up the armor up to 50% with multiple stacks. Stacks mean like if you hit them with fire damage, with the blow of fire, it'll say 1. If you hit them again, it'll say 2. And if you're continuously hitting them, then stacks will just keep stacking, and that's how you build effective status effects. There's some other ones like gas that you can get from mixing 2 status effects together. So you just place them in your mod setup and then you'll gain, I believe there's 4 other elements that you can get from mix matching them. But Toxin, you can see, is against, it'll tell you what type of faction it can be highly effective against. So you kind of want to mod appropriate to the type of enemy you're fighting. Another good one I want to recommend is Slash. So Slash just got boosted recently. Slash is kind of like a stacking type of status effect, to where that if you hit an enemy with it and you keep stacking it, they're going to get hit and then take that damage over time, almost like a little damage tick. Even if you hit them once or twice, they're going to like bleed out. Another popular one is corrosive. So corrosive is gained from combining electricity and toxin. Corrosive can also remove up to 80% of the target's armor with multiple stacks. So again, reducing armor can allow you to deal more damage to the enemy. Viral is also a very important one, and the last example I'm going to use, because that would be another video for itself, but you can get that one from combining cold and toxin. Viral allows you to deal more damage to the enemy's health. So there's a lot of things that you can do, like corrosive damage to strip them from the armor, and then once you get to the health, you can use viral and it'll be like crazy effective against them. This is useful against the usually all the factions, really. Corrosive and viral are like the main two I see players go to, but you can mix and match because there's a lot of other elements. You don't really need these types of elements to deal damage. There's other status effects like blast that can lower the enemy's accuracy with their weapons, so that can help you increase survivability. That one can be made from combining heat and cold. And then you also have radiation, which can help enemies just start attacking each other. So that can be another status effect that you can invest in to help with survivability as well. Radiation could be made from combining heat and electricity. And if you don't have these elements and you're not able to combine them for your weapons, you can even use Warframe abilities. So they can also, some of these Warframes have abilities that can strip armor. One of the popular ones being Necros. Necros has Terrify, which causes armor reduction that can help you with your weapons and deal more damage. And how I said with the elements, there's a bunch of Warframes and they all have certain types of element damage that you can utilize to help you cause those effects that I mentioned earlier. A few popular ones can be Zaku's Zata's Whisper. So if you go over to that, you can see that it adds void damage to your weapon. You have Rhino's Roar, which can also give players an increase to your damage. When I mentioned the faction mods earlier, those are good because they are additive to your final damage count. So you'll end up dealing more damage, and Roar amplifies that additive damage. So you'll be able to deal a bonus damage to the faction if you have that added on. So Roar can work very much hand in hand with any of your faction damage mods. Then we have Mirage's Eclipse. This is a very popular one that just been changed recently to where if you tap it, you can reduce the damage you take, but if you hold it, you can increase your weapon damage. So this one is also another amplifier you can utilize for your weapons. And of course, I cannot skip Grendel. So Grendel has a very popular ability that people utilize called Nourish. So you can deal viral damage already off the bat without you combining two mods to get this status effect. So it does viral damage to nearby enemies, and it also allows you to gain more energy to do your other abilities. So there's different approaches that you can go about, dealing more damage. You can either A, make the enemy weaker, B, you become stronger, or C, you can just manipulate the enemies so that your survivability is higher, allowing you to deal the damage on the side while they're going around in chaos. Another important factor to take note of is that arcanes need loves too. You do unlock, and you'll see this hidden slot with your Warframes, with your weapons, with your melee weapons, and these are called arcane slots. Arcanes can drop from a lot of enemies, usually like acolytes or bounties. It's just one of those common or more rare items that can drop from missions. For your damage when you're in Still Path, they recently added arcanes for your primary and secondary weapons. So when you have this slot right here, it's going to be locked at first. In order to unlock your primary arcane adapter or your secondary arcane adapter, that's when you go back to Tension's shop and you purchase it with Steel Essence. So it's kind of like, you can see how it's working hand in hand and making you stronger in the Steel Path. But a lot of popular primary arcanes that I would recommend would be like Merciless, where if you get kills, you'll start dealing more damage. Even Deadhead, if you get headshot kills, you'll deal even quicker damage. There's other ones where if you can deal Like say if your gun's not strong enough, you can deal melee damage and get melee kills, and it can increase your damage. So like dexterity. For the second one, it's kind of like the same thing. You have merciless, deadhead. So there's a lot of ways that you can be broken in Warframe. There's mainly like 3 categories that can definitely help you understand how to just deal damage in Warframe. I talk about these in all of my Warframe guides that I post on my channel, so if you want to check them out, you can see the playlist on my main page. But starting off, we're going to go over enemy manipulation. That can give you an edge over dealing more damage in Steel Path. So some Warframes just have abilities that can they work on no matter what level the enemy is. So this can help you a lot in Steel Path because enemies are going to scale very high. So if you have abilities that affects them no matter what, you're in luck. If they're not infecting the Eximus units, it's because you need to get rid of their overshields and then they can start affecting them. But you have other abilities like Zalta's Whisper, which can make a Warframe weapon base, which is the second category. And this one would just revolve around abilities that just makes your weapon stronger. So similar to Rhino's Roar, Mirage's Eclipse, those abilities like that. These abilities can also include things that that inflict status effect. So we have Warframes like Citron, that her ability would throw out a shell that just dishes out random status effects to enemies. This makes the enemies a lot more susceptible to the effects of that status, and it increases your damage exponentially. So having this on would give you that boost in the damage that you need without you necessarily increasing your numbers. The third type of being strong in Warframe is just using a Warframe that's broken on its own. Warframes that don't rely on weapons are very dangerous and addicting. You have Baruch, which literally brings out his own weapons. They're called exalted weapons. These can be modded as well. But there's different types of build setups and different types of Warframe ability mix matches that you can kind of go with. There's no perfect build in Warframe, which is the fun part. So you can even take Octavia, and Octavia can stay invisible for the whole entire match, right? And then on top of that, she has this mallet that can deal damage to the enemies, and if the enemies are stronger, then you're going to be dealing more damage. Another Warframe that functions like that could be Zaku. Garuda. So Garuda legit does not require flow at all, and flow is like one of the main popular Warframe mods that players would come across. But some Warframes just have abilities that work hand in hand with each other. The final tips that I wanted to go over is certain aura mods can help you too when it comes to being strong in Warframe. You have aura mods that can increase how much your energy is recharging. Some can increase how much melee damage you're doing. Some can increase how much your ability strength is if you're placing status effects. And we have even one that reduces armor as well. So there's a lot of aura mods that you can place onto your Warframe that will come in clutch. So another quick tip that I want you guys to know is that you can also stat stick in Warframe. So you can if you don't have enough mod space to mix your base damage mods and your status effects mods, you can just invest 1 in 1 per weapon. So you can have a weapon that is solely just invested in dealing status effects as well as range, and then you can just switch to your base damage weapon and the damage will carry over. So what you would do is that you can utilize all of the status effects that I mentioned earlier in the video. I have this one with radiation, making the enemies kind of want to fight themselves, as well as cold, so it makes them slower as well. I do recommend, there's a lot of weapons. You can use any weapon to stat stick really, but I just like weapons that has high AoE, so they can affect large areas of the map, as well as beam weapons. So you can use weapons like the Nucor or the Epitaph, or cannon weapons like the Tsar. If you have plasma weapon, if you have a Zal with the Exodia Contagion, you guys know what that means if you know what I'm talking about. If you guys have a Zal with the Exodia Contagion, you guys can use that as a stat stick. If you have any type of weapon that can cause an explosion, I would recommend that one of the one you want to prefer. If you want to do armor reduction, then add fire mods. If you want to do corrosive, then add, you know, both toxic and electric mods. If you want to make it a viral, then add the appropriate mods for your stat stick weapon. This would free up space for your base damage weapon, so you can just solely put on things that can help with your damage. So if I had one that did fire, you see, I can just take this off and place another mod that can help increase my damage, since my epitaph is already carrying for that. If you want to know what you should mod it for, I would just say add a lot of the statuses that you like. If you have that condition overload, you can legit just place all the statuses on this weapon and you would gain those melee damage boosts from that mod. You also want to have high multi-shot and status chance, which can give you you know, more chance of pulling off the status effects on the enemies. Then for your base damage, you want to just go with the multi-shot, you know, high crit, high critical chance. The final thing I wanted to cover in this mission is that companions and your operator comes in clutch. So invest into your operator. I know your operator can be like a scary section of Warframe, especially when you start off in Cetus. You don't really know too much about what he can do, but when you first unlock everything in your operator, this guy has so much power. He can be just as strong as your Warframe. So you can build guns for your operator. You can also customize them, but the main thing is the focus. So you have 5 clans that you can choose. You can gain all of them, but in each clan they have like status effects that you can utilize in your match. So you can switch from Warframe to operator, and that can give you an edge in dealing more damage. There's some clans like the Madurite clan that legit just gains, like, it gives you a boost to your damage. Not only that, but there's certain skills that are passive, so once you unlock them, you legit can take away these abilities from the other clans and they'll be with you no matter what clan you choose. So utilizing your operator can come in clutch. And then the other companions that I want you to take note of is the pets. So if you have your Kubro, he may not seem to be that reliable at first, but pets are super good. You can equip your pets to have things like inflicting certain status effects onto an enemy. Just like how I told you how condition overload can work, you can have your companion inflict status effects as well to give you that increased chance of proccing your ability. So here we go. We can just add on anything that does status effects onto our companion, so that when we're out and about, this thing is also going to be shooting any type of status effects its weapon holds and help us out with our missions. There's even a cat that you can make on Deimos. All of these are free, but you can make these cats that can inflict viral damage onto the enemies. So it literally does one of the strongest status effects onto the enemies for you, which would give you a bonus in your damage. So yeah, you just craft that pet from Sun on Deimos. You can craft other pet. You can pet your pet. If you don't want to craft them, there's another fast way. There's these hound dogs. So when you get to the Call of Tempestari quest and you're able to start your tenant sister, once again, I do have a guide on how to do that, but you can gain these hound dogs that can also be modded out, and they all have their own different abilities that can help you out in combat. You can see that every tenant sister just was dropping them. I just don't have the space to hold any at the moment, but they're all free. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to help out a lot of new players who started off Warframe. Warframe is picking up, and I'm glad that this underrated diamond is getting the light that it deserves. But a lot of players could be kind of lost during the learning curve of Warframe, and I just want to be there to help you out. But let me know in the comment sections below which guide or which builds do you guys usually like to use. What's your most favorite, used Warframe in the game? There's a lot of mixed matches and combinations of builds that you can do in this game. There's no perfect build, because there's always going to be so much combinations you can do with the Hemless system, with the mod setups. So I'll be curious to see what type of setups you guys have been using for your Stow path. So let me know in the comment section below. I would read every single one of them, but at the same time, let me know if you also have any additional questions for me if I did not cover them in this video. I try to make this quick as possible and the most dumbed down version of it, but that's how you can deal more damage in Warframe. If you want any more guides like these, please follow my channel, and also check out the other videos in case you want to learn more about Warframe and see my other Warframe guides. But like always, you guys keep up the grind, be safe, and I'll see you guys in Warframe 1999.